On Thursday, Hillary Clinton announced that seized Libyan assets, the assets that belong to the Libyan government, and therefore the Libyan people, will now be taken and used to pay for the war on Libya. The resources that belong collectively to the entire country will now be sold and used to support the killing of those same people. The people of Libya are being forced to pay for their own invasion and occupation of their home. This was decided by a group called the Contact Group on Libya, which gets together, big shots from the U.S., Europe, NATO, the Middle East, the World Bank, and a whole bunch of other places. Now, collectively, they've all decided to unfreeze some of the assets of Libya so that they can be seized and put toward the destruction of Libya. Now, some governments have pledged funds. Kuwait has pledged about $180 million, while Qatar has pledged $400 million. However, there's a little bit of a problem here. You see, the thing is, a lot of those assets that are frozen and might be unfrozen to help pay for the invasion, well, they're held by privately owned banks in various countries, and they're kind of unwilling to let go of free assets. We see the bankers aren't dumb. They know the Libyan government is finished. So what they're doing is they're hanging on to those assets, and then they'll sell them off later. It's somewhere total around about $30 billion. Now you see the Contact Group on Libya, who's pushing all this, is having a hard time convincing the privately owned banks to give up the stuff they got for free in order to pay for the war. So here, we're seeing a contradiction within capitalism itself, a contradiction within imperialism. Imperialism needs the money to carry out the war, but the private banks who hold that wealth are unwilling to let it go because of the profit motive. There is a profit motive behind all these wars to make them go, yet there's a profit motive holding back paying for the wars that they need to go in order to forward their own profit motive. What is very interesting here is the fact that the stuff in Libya, the assets that are held in Libya, have already been seized and are already beginning to be used. However, the Libyan assets held by people who aren't Libyans are the ones under contention. So, okay, great. So you could take the Libyan people's money and kill them with it, no problem. But if you want to take the money from a private banker, particularly American bankers, then whoops, all of a sudden, nobody's willing to give it up. With all the free money that these guys got in the economic bailout, it just still isn't enough. You give rich people whatever they want. Even when it's in their own interest, they're unwilling to lift a finger. But rob the wealth of poor people? Hey, no problem. Now, to add insult to murder, the Contact Group on Libya is claiming this money will go to humanitarian aid. I think we're all aware by now that crates and crates of rifles is not humanitarian aid. It's very clear that this will go towards weapons, paying for invasions, and in truth, this money will end up being funneled to CIA agents, radical Islamic fundamentalists who are also participating in this war. The very people that are supposed to be our enemies are going to end up with this money. So I think we see very clearly that this cover of humanitarian intervention is a fraud. In the face of the global economic crisis, imperialism has found a way to pay for its own imperialist wars. Make the victims pay for it.